growing versus scaling, I want you to be thinking about, you don't scale, okay, to six figures, guys. You don't scale to six figures. You grow to six figures. What I want to do today, I want to talk about growing versus scaling. I want to talk about kind of the core differences, nuances, and elements. I want to make sure we really, really understand what this process looks like and where you as the entrepreneur, as a CEO and business owner should be focusing your time, your attention, your discipline, your education, your learning in these areas of growing versus scaling. Something that I want to kind of kick things off with is the difference between growing and scaling. They're not the same thing. They don't require the same thing. They don't look the same. They're just entirely different. Okay. So growing versus scaling, I want you to be thinking about, you don't scale, okay, to six figures, guys. You don't scale to six figures. You grow to six figures. Right? A lot of people have this idea that scaling is like just get into a certain amount of money. And what I want you to understand is there's phases of business. You don't scale to six figures. You grow to six figures. Six figures is a growth phase. That is not scaling. That is growing. You are at a growth phase at that point, right? When you get to six figures, you can scale to multiple six, to multiple seven. Most business owners, in fact, 90 or more % of business owners actually never get to six figures in their business in their first 1 to 3 years, and they have to shut their businesses down because growing is one of the hardest parts of your business. Okay. So growing and scaling are two different things. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about what should you be focusing on. You're not going to grow scale, guys, to six figures. You're going to grow. Okay. So your first six figures is your growth year. Or 2 years, however long it takes you. That's your growth phase, right? And the thing is that in the growth phase, everybody wants to skip it and kind of get to scale, but you need something to scale, right? We don't just scale. We need something to scale. And that means growth has to happen first. And during that growth phase, you're really building up the muscles that are required for you to scale, right? Scaling is not just about setting up an automated funnel and like funneling people in it. That is not scaling. That's a strategy. That's not scaling. Scaling is where revenue is actually increasing massively at a leveraged pace consistently, right? So in the growth phase, there are foundations, muscles, strategy, systems. There are core elements that are happening during that growth phase that need to be there, and they need to be solid. They need to be strong. They need to be like set in stone in order for you to scale. If you're trying to skip your growth phase and just get to the scale, number one, you don't have anything to scale yet. And number two, what's going to happen and what we see happen is that you skip all of the important things that take place inside of a growth phase. You skip it all. You scale and then you fail, and you have to go all the way back to the very beginning and you have to start over. It's like burning it down and rebuilding it. Why? Because you didn't, in the growth phase, you didn't focus on the things that were required in order to scale. And again, scaling is a strategic, systematic process or systematic process. It's not a strategy. People don't just jump online and say, I want to scale. You grow and then you scale. And there's no way around that. Okay. There are elements during your growth phase that you need to go through, that you need to get clarity on, you need to do, and you need to build in order for you to scale sustainably. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about this difference of growing and scaling. And I actually want you to slow down in order to speed up. Okay. This goal of like, I just want to get to this place of like scale and millions of dollars. It's like you're not going to get there if you don't go through the growth phase. If you try to skip this part and you try to like speed it up and like cut corners and get to this place faster, you're just going to find yourself struggling and starting right back at ground zero. So I kind of want to talk about scaling a little bit, because it's taken what's already working really well, and then you just multiply it. You simplify and multiply consistently. If you don't have something working really well, there is nothing to scale. I just need to be really, really clear about that. Everybody wants to scale, and they're doing advanced strategies trying to scale. But if you don't have certain things already working really well in your business, you actually don't have anything to scale. What are we scaling? What are we scaling if we have no leads, if we don't have any clarity, if we don't have any confidence, if we don't have any money, if we don't have a system already working, if we don't have resilience, if we don't have, a proven offer and strategy, and we don't have results, and we don't have client testimonials, if we don't have all of these things, not just external, but internal, there is nothing to scale. You don't have a business yet. You don't have anything to scale. We have to just understand that this is part of the business. This is part of this process and journey. It's like scaling is taking something that's already working, and we just multiply it over and over and over again. If you don't have something working, you don't have anything to multiply. You don't have anything to automate. You don't have anything to scale. And we just really need to understand that is the important part of the growth phase. The growth phase is get into those 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, with proven strategy and systems and processes and internal mindset, resilience, confidence, all of the internal stuff that's going to be required. Scaling is not hands off. Scaling is not like 100% automated and you're sitting on the beach somewhere. Scaling actually takes a lot of work also. It looks different than your growth phase, but it still requires a lot of work. You're talking money. You're not going to step out of your business if you don't have systems, team, strategy, if you're not investing time and money into other people and things to take that up a notch, right? That requires all of those things. And most often we see people try to scale with these advanced strategies like funnels and automation and low ticket courses and low ticket offers and programs. And what happens is you just fail. It just doesn't work. And it's not because those strategies don't work or those offers don't work. It's that you don't have what's required to make those things profitable for you. And so you end up going right back to the beginning anyway. And this, again, we see this over and over and over again at all the levels. We see some of our 7-figure clients trying to go to multiple 7 figures, and we're having to start all the way back at 7 figures again or lower and refine processes because you don't have what it takes to get to the next level sustainably. Okay. So it's really, really important to understand that you actually want to slow down in your growth phase. So like get into like the 6, anywhere from like 100,000 to 250,000 a year. In that phase, slow down. There's nowhere you need to hurry up and get to. I promise. There's nothing like, oh my God, I got to hurry up and get to this point. Like, honestly, slow down to speed up is going to be like the answer for you guys. And I want to share, like in the beginning of my business, when I moved out of my agency, my VA agency, and I started coaching, I literally only did one-on-one coaching for 5 years. I did 3-month one-on-one coaching. I started at $500 total because I had to get my mindset around my pricing. I literally was like $500 for 3 months. Then I went to $1,500 for 3 months. Then I went to $2,500 for 3 months. Actually, I think I went to $2,000, then $2,500. And then I went to $5,000 for 3 months. And I gradually kept going up over the years. And I never offered anything else. I think once in a while, I would do like a VIP day if somebody couldn't do the one-on-one coaching. I would just do basically a VIP day and just help them with one thing that we normally would have worked on in the coaching. I would just have one, just not 2 things, not 3 and not 5, but one thing. And we would solve that one thing. And then I just did one-on-one coaching. That's all I did for 5 whole years. And I'm not saying you have to do that for 5 years. What I'm saying is it took me 5 years to get the fundamentals in place. It took me 5 years to build the confidence, the consistency, the clarity, the resilience, the focus, the discipline. I had kids running around. I was a single mom. I had a lot of mindset stuff. I had a lot of money stuff. I didn't know business. I had never had a job really. I mean, I never ran a business before. So I wasn't really good at business. I didn't understand business. I didn't understand strategy. I didn't know anything. I literally did not know what I was doing. And back then, they didn't have what they have today. We didn't have all these people and all this free stuff and all these people going live and giving free teaching and training. And I didn't have a coach in the beginning. So I really was like the blind leading the blind. It took me 5 years of running that same process through all the time. It took working with a lot of the wrong people. It took offering a lot of things that I wasn't really that good at. It took, selling offers that weren't 100% aligned or, proper. It just took a lot of messy, very uncomfortable, very imperfect action from me over and over and over and over again to start to build clarity and confidence. And then finally, through doing all of that, I started to kind of get a little more clear about who my clients were and were not, and what my zone of genius was and was not, and the process I took my clients through. And then I started to finally get client results. So then I finally started having clients give me testimonials and share wins. And I started to see that what I was doing was starting to work. I had insane resilience, which I still do to this day. I don't give up on nothing. No one takes me out of the game. I don't care what happens. I'm solid. I am so resilient. I can take every hit. I can take every judgment. I can take every failure. I'm good. I'm solid. I've always been like that. I don't get in my head about anything. I'm good. I had a lot of other things that were not so good. But by going through this process, my resilience got stronger. My confidence built up. You could take hits and it doesn't hurt so much. In the beginning, it's like everything we make it about us. It's all about us, right? Everything is a story about our value and our worth and whatever in the beginning. And that's part of the beginning journey. That's that growth phase. It's hard. It's hard. It's heavy. It can be hurtful. It can be challenging mentally, emotionally, strategically, all of the things. And you need to go through all that or you'll never scale.